No Game No Life is about two siblings, Sora and Shiro, who are both hikikomori or neets, who conquer all games they play in their clan known as blank. But not the word blank, just literally blank. They have never lost a game except for against each other. One day Blank received a message challenging them to a game of chess. Using the combined efforts of both Sora and Shiro, they both triumph. But right after, they are teleported into a world falling from the sky. Oh wow, teleported into another world? Never heard that one before. Following along with them is the god of the world known as Tet. Then it is said that the world deals with all conflicts through games, as a way to more or less peacefully resolve everything instead of war and destruction. And so Blank sets off on their new lives, never looking back. So that is the setup, but once the story gets deeper, it becomes a conquest to conquer every kingdom and get every race piece, to have the ability to challenge Tet to a game, and I assume become gods of Disboard? Oh, I forgot to mention how Sora and Shiro thought their normal lives were just a bad video game. So rather than being terrified and homesick, they were more excited to be in this new world. Now the whole being sent to a different world concept is far from original, and was a trend in the season it aired. However, No Game No Life knows how to turn it from a clone of other series into its own defined series. I actually don't think the send to another world concept is bad, it's just quite saturated as of recent years, but the concept has plenty of potential. It's just up to the writer whether it's done well or done poorly. So the spin No Game No Life has with the every conflict is dealt with by playing a game is just brilliant. Both a jab at real life in how people will resort to war and death, as well as a very entertaining device for the show. Because action we are plenty familiar with, and yes, it can be quite cool to watch, but can be overused. But with this concept, it branches out so many new possibilities, but the concept can be ruined if the writer doesn't take advantage of it. However, thankfully, full advantage was taken of the concept, and it's glorious. As for the conquest of taking every kingdom, I feel it opens doors for great opportunity. It all comes down to how clever a strategy Blank can pull off, which is quite exciting. Apart from Sora, Shiro, and Steph, the other characters didn't have too many opportunities to develop or get fleshed out, but the time is well spent since there is more of a focus on the game and the overarching plot. But when the show does touch on the characters, it does enough for the time that is being given. Now Sora is pretty much the main focus of the show, and justifiably so, since he is such a genius. He has such a deep intellect and it stays consistent. He has his mild perverted moments, but they aren't in your face or super cliche, but more like a tribute to that, in the sense that he's played so many games that he's referencing them and applying them when available. That being said though, there really isn't many perverted scenes at all. I think Sora is one of the few protagonists that is straight up likable because he is so charismatic, determined, and confident. And because he is so intelligent, he can remain that way throughout. Some might think, how can a hikikomori be so charismatic and confident, though? Well, because of all his gaming, he has grown to dominate. As mentioned in the show, he has won the game before it has even started. He treats situations like a game. He has everything figured out. But anyway, that's enough about Sora. Shiro sadly is on the shorter end of the stick in developing. We see little quirks and pep talk between her and Sora, but we don't really hear her voice literally and figuratively. Not enough, at least. It's mainly due to her character archetype being on the quiet side, but also because Sora absorbs the majority of the screen time. She's very intelligent herself though, and it's nice to see how she has a decent amount of opportunities to display that. Steph's character is unfortunately underutilized, I would say. For example, in the last arc, she was absent until pretty much the end, but actually was kind of necessary for the strategy to work. Like Shiro to a higher degree, Steph we don't really get to know besides her standing in the kingdom. She is a smart person but is overshadowed by Sora and Shiro, and because of that she is looked upon as though she is stupid just because she isn't quite as intelligent as Sora and Shiro. Her role is more or less to be the voice of reason-ish, when Sora and Shiro proceed to go on with some ridiculous or ambitious plans spontaneously. Steph is the one to tell them how it would be risky or insane. She isn't wrong, but Blank ends up dominating regardless. But yeah, overall I'd say she would be better if she had more time in the spotlight. The art for No Game No Life is quite stylized in the color department. Everything is so vibrant and colorful. It really puts out a fantasy vibe and I can't get enough of it. Actually the manga would be black and white, so I guess that's a little one-up for the anime. The character designs themselves I liked quite a lot. Sora's purple and yellow shirts layered popped out and makes him so distinct. And Shiro is also quite distinct from the gradients throughout her hair and her eye color. I find it so appealing. And the background art is on the upper tier, I would say. The animation was done by Madhouse, which has made some movies that were beautifully animated. As for No Game No Life, I was quite absorbed into the show, so I didn't focus on the animation, but the immersion of the show was made stronger by how natural the animation felt. That being said, there wasn't any weak points I could notice. It does have strong points though, but it's pretty consistent. The soundtrack throughout has some pretty standard tracks. Music for general talking scenes, silly scenes, all that had some suitable songs to fit the mood. However, when the strategy gets unveiled, there's a track that would usually play called All of You is All of Me, or something like that, which was very good. It stood out because it had the sort of epicness to build it up, and it made the scene that much more satisfying when it was unveiled. Sound design I don't typically pay attention to, but every time someone was antagonizing blank about how they wouldn't be able to accomplish something, the shot would cut to Sora as he strikes a grin of confidence on his face, and a sound effect plays, which is kind of like the equivalent to the whole Inception overused movie trailer sound, and it enhances the scene so much. It makes you believe in Sora's confidence. It's genuinely exciting. The opening of No Game No Life begins really nicely. The perspective of Sora and Shiro in this giant world up in the air is just screaming there's an incredible journey ahead of them with this gigantic landscape. The visual style and music work well together, and represents the show even better. The song used itself is pretty memorable as well, so overall pretty good opening. The ending starts out fairly basic with scrolling text and pretty much a slideshow of the imagery. It evolves into full motion after a bit, and then the music picks up. Nothing too special, but it's a pretty good indication of the episode ending and gives you time to cool down. The dub for No Game No Life was quite good, even though I'm sure the lack of high-pitched Asian female voices make the dub haters cringe. I thought it was well casted and well done. Sora's voice feels quite fitting, and Shiro, even though she had few lines, she has the kudere voice down quite well. But she also had some yelling, and that showed that she was more than capable of just her soft little kudere voice. Steph, I'm sure in particular, picky dub watchers would hate. Her voice isn't super high-pitched or anything, but she is completely fine. She performs well, and I think her voice fits reasonably well, so I don't have a problem with it. Now, how much did I enjoy No Game No Life? Well, my enjoyment was pretty much capped out the whole ride. People like action, but I much prefer a well thought out and executed strategy any day of the week over an action sequence. No Game No Life is in the tier of Death Note and Code Geass strategy levels. You'll try to predict how blank will win each game, but it's hard to figure out how it's going to be pulled off. And every time it's pulled off, it's such a satisfying win. I'd say even if you aren't really into the other aspects of the show, the games alone are worth it. And I find the characters likable as we follow blank on their conquest. The series is so well thought out, and you can tell with every detail. Another thing I liked about No Game No Life is how the story is always moving forward. Blank is continuously on their way to the next step of their goal, and the story that doesn't stop keeps you so engaged and absorbs you. Unfortunately, No Game No Life is far from what would be its actual endpoint. They're about an eighth of their way to their goal from the 12 episode series. I don't feel bad about the show ending though because of how enjoyable it was. I normally hate endings and grow a void in my chest when I want more, but I'm oddly satisfied after finishing. Perhaps I'm just so confident the popularity will get another season or two. In any case, there's a movie to be released sometime, and hoping it's an addition to the TV series rather than like a recap or something. I can't wait for it to come. And I'm hoping Sentai picks up the movie when it does. I mean, people love it already. So overall, if you are into anime with really well thought out strategy and story threads, want an anime with a likable and charismatic protagonist, that's really all you need to want to watch No Game No Life. I can't tell if I'm blinded by my love for the show or not, but I'm not sure what would make you dislike the show besides not being interested in the story or the genres it covers. At the time of this video, No Game No Life is licensed by Sentai Filmworks and is officially available to watch. Crunchyroll sub only, fddnm network subbed and dubbed, Hulu/Yahoo viewed subbed, may or may not be dubbed, but I can't check outside of the US, and Viewster sub only. Well, quite the variety to choose from this time, so let me know if there's anything you agree or disagree with. If you dislike this video, make sure to give a thumbs down. That would be much appreciated. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll tune in for my next review that will probably take a month or two to put out.